This whole week, we went through why your body is attacking, why it looks like it's attacking itself, but why it's really on the attack because it's been protecting you from a virus that you've had probably since childhood. We also talked about what to do about it. Starve it, kill it with your immune system, detox it out of your body. How do you do that? Now the question is, as you're going through this protocol, you're going to be going through the peaks and the valleys of healing because you can't heal from anything without going through the peaks and the valleys. And it is the valleys that screw us up. It is the valleys that keep us stuck and keep us in a state of, I'm not healing, what's wrong with my body? When what you're experiencing has always been told, you've always been told this is an exacerbation. It's not an exacerbation, it's your body detoxing the dead virus. But what happens is you keep feeding the virus unknowingly. Keep feeding the virus keeps thriving, growing, dying, and you're constantly experiencing what the body is going through. It's detoxing. So the doctors have labeled it exacerbation. I label it detoxing. It's actual healing. But what happens is you're going to get stuck in a loop of feeding the virus dies, feeding the virus dies. So you're always going to experiencing symptoms of the live virus and symptoms of the dead virus. Once you start to starve the virus and get your detox pathways open, the valleys that you experience will feel like an exacerbation, but you will know that it is the detoxing. And every time you experience a valley, it's going to be less and less. Now, the actual experience of the valley, not only will it be less and less, but you will understand what's going on with your body and what you did. Like, let's say, drank celery juice for the first time or whatever you did, you'll be able to see the connection to how your body feels. Right now, you're completely disconnected from your body. You don't realize that everything that is going on up here is being shown in your body through your sensations. I laid this out so that I can say it without branching off and losing track, because the question is, if most people have Epstein-Barr, then why aren't most people in a wheelchair? Why aren't most people riddled with an autoimmune disease? And it is a great question. The Epstein-Barr virus by itself doesn't cause multiple sclerosis. That is just one piece of the puzzle, because even though the Epstein-Barr virus is nearly universal, 95 or higher percent of people have it, disconnection from the body isn't universal. And that's what people with MS who have mobility issues are experiencing. Think of it as, this is the analogy I came up with. Think of it like a match. The match alone doesn't do much. Whether it lights the fire or not depends on what it lands on. For example, some people, the match lands on wet grass. And a body that's relatively clean and calm and able to handle stress, nothing happens. That match falls on wet grass, nothing happens. Now, for other people, it lands on dry grass. Think about a body that's overloaded with heavy metals. They're going through chronic stress, the emotional strain, or nutrient deficiencies. That's when the inflammation and the nerve damage and the symptoms begin. So think of it as Epstein-Barr is the spark, but what makes the fire spread is the terrain of the body. And that terrain isn't just physical, it's emotional too. And this is the part that no one talks about. You're not going to find this, and it's absolutely critical. Many of us, most of us who've lived with multiple sclerosis has also lived in years of survival mode. Constantly, think about this if this is you, constantly on alert, people pleasing, managing stress, pushing through pain, not speaking up for yourself, doing what you think is going to please everyone around you, thinking that that's going to be the easier thing to do. And eventually, what happens inside the body is the nervous system goes, I can't do this anymore. So it begins to protect you in the only way that it knows how, by disconnecting. And that's what's known as protective dissociation. Protective dissociation is something you can Google and read about, but it's the body's way of turning down the volume on the sensations that feel way too painful for you to experience. They're overwhelming. And when that goes on for too long, the communication between the brain and the body is severed. The communication, not the nerve, obviously, the communication between the body, the mind, and the body is completely severed. And it begins to shut down until it's completely shut off. And how that shows up in the body is numbness, weakness, loss of coordination. Your body is not attacking you, it's protecting you. It always has been protecting you. And that's why two people can have the virus. One person can end up in a wheelchair and one person ends up with absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. It's not the stress that takes us down. It is the story that we tell ourselves about the stress. It's the story that we tell ourselves about the situation. This is why we have the word perception. The same event can happen to two people, and those two people are going to tell you a completely different story of their account of the situation. I want to put this in a real example for you to understand what this looks like in real time. So we've changed the names to protect what I did was I printed out one of the members' the posts, not from Facebook, but from the Skool program, the private program. We've changed her name, so we're going to call her Jane Doe. So Jane Doe was in the community listening to everybody, kind of staying in the background. And she finally speaks up. And that's when I call on her. I'm like, hey, Jane Doe, you're a little quiet. Why don't you tell us what's going on? And she opens up and she tells us that she has been on the couch or in bed for 6 weeks. She is in the pit of despair. She's in complete depression. She goes, my body won't move. It's stuck to the ground and I don't know what to do. So we started talking about what led to this, what was going on. And she explained some of the personal things that were going on in her life. I said, all right, that's in the past. We can't go back there. What are we doing? Let's turn this around a little bit. I said, so you wake up every day. What's your first thought? She's like, this day is going to suck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this bed. I'm stuck. I would rather go downstairs and watch TV with my husband, but I don't want to put him through having to carry me back up the stairs at the end of the night. So although I want to go down there, I don't. I say, just leave me alone. I'm fine. She goes, and I'm stuck up here in my room and all of life is going on downstairs without me. I said, and then how does that feel? She's like, it feels awful. She goes, and that's what it is every single day. So me and the rest of the group were like, Jane Doe, why don't you do something different? Why don't we just try something different? We talk about joy and how it changes the frequency of the signal, leaving the brain, heading down to the rest of the body. She goes, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to go downstairs tonight and I'm going to watch TV with my husband. So she gets back on the call a couple days later. She's like, I did it and it was great. She goes, but I could not get back up the stairs. It was a shit show trying to get me back up. So I go, can I ask you a question? When you were sitting there watching TV and it was about 20 minutes before you knew everyone was going to go to bed, did you sit there and wonder, how am I going to get back up the stairs? Getting back up the stairs is going to suck. I don't want to do this. I can't believe I came down here. Now I got to get back up. She's like, oh my God, how did you know? She goes, yeah, I'm sitting there in complete fear of, I got to get back up those stairs. He's going to have to carry me. I know he's really tired. I shouldn't have done this. I said, and you couldn't get back up the stairs. She goes, no, it was awful. We talked about when the brain says, I can't do this, I'm stuck, I have no choices. That is what the body doesn't judge. It goes, oh, okay, we're stuck, we can't move. The frequency is so low that the signal doesn't take any detours. It goes, nope, I'm going to take the path of least resistance. I'm going to take the path that we always took, and it gets stuck and it doesn't get through. So now I want to read to you, I printed it out. I want to read to you exactly what she said after we told her, the next time you go down those stairs, I want you to watch your thoughts and I need you to be delusional about how easy it's going to be getting back up the stairs. You can feel like a mental patient because you think you know, it's going to be hard to get up those stairs because you have evidence to pull from. But I want you to change the thoughts just as a test and see what happens. So this is what she writes 4 days later. This was before our next call, but she put it in the community. The title was Magic. She goes, I truly believe there is magic in this group. I've had a pretty hard day emotionally today and I felt quite hopeless at times, but today's call made me smile and laugh for the first time in a while. I always feel so much better afterwards. When I came off the call, I thought I'd try going downstairs again, but when I tried to get back up, my legs didn't feel great, and I felt myself slipping into negativity again. It's bonfire night here in the UK, and my daughter had asked me earlier if we could toast some marshmallows. My first thought was, no, I can't. Then I remembered what Janine said about finding joy and faking it if you have to. So I decided I would try to get down so that we could do that, and maybe it would bring me some joy. Well, not only did I get downstairs, but I walked down. Then we toasted marshmallows by the fire pit outside while drinking hot chocolate with a smiley face. Afterwards, I watched TV with my husband, and I wasn't worried about getting back up. When it was time to go back, I walked back up the stairs. She goes, I'm shattered, but I'm bloody happy. I love the Brits with the bloody. I love that. We should adopt that here in the U.S. She goes, without the support from Janine and all you amazing women, I'd still be moping in my bed. This group is magic. What happened in 24 hours? In 24 hours, she went from being in her bed, on a couch for 6 weeks, to walking down the stairs and walking back up the stairs by herself. Nobody was there with her. We weren't there. All we did was we had a conversation about joy and the thoughts and the power of the thoughts. And look, everything changes. And that's not just, this is Jane Doe right here, calling her Jane Doe. This is one person. The amount of testimonies that we have in that group of, oh my God, I got out of the car and I didn't have my walking sticks. Oh my God, I went downstairs and I walked down and my legs, my knees didn't hyperextend. I got out of the car and I can't believe how far I walked. It's not magic, but it kind of feels magical because of the way the mind works that we were never taught. Look up physical dissociation. You'll start seeing in yourself what's been going on for years and years inside of your body when you decide, that's it, I'm done. I'm not going to speak up for myself. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to put the boundaries up that I need to put up. When you don't honor yourself and when you don't honor your emotions, this and this become completely disconnected. And it sounds foreign in the beginning. It sounds foreign, like, what do you mean I have to establish a relationship with my body? But you do. Because back when you had a relationship with your body, back when you were experiencing joy in your life, what was happening in your body? It was moving. And it was only after years and years of shutting down the emotions and packing them so far down deep into your body, you didn't have to feel them anymore. It wasn't until you did that for years that your body began to shut down. Then we went to the medical industry and the medical people said, oh, well, you have MS. This is why MS is the only autoimmune disease that affects mobility, because it's not the disease itself. MS is a differential diagnosis, which means they only give you the diagnosis if they can't find anything else wrong with you. And I'm going to go through that to prove that to you. They only give you the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis when they cannot find anything else wrong with you, yet you're saying you still have these symptoms. They've decided to name that. They've named it multiple sclerosis. They're like, oh, let's call it multiple scars, because, they have scars on their myelin, which everybody has scars on their myelin. Every single person who gets an MRI has lesions, scars on their myelin. No one has beautiful, unscarred myelin. Nobody. So they went, let's call it multiple scars. That sounds good. And someone goes, oh, you know what? No, let's use the Latin word for scars. Let's go with sclerosis. It sounds more important. So what a differential diagnosis is, okay, remember when you got diagnosed, you got a blood test, you got the MRI, and you got the spinal tap. You thought, here, let me do some visual aids here. You thought as you were sitting there getting the death sentence that we all thought it was, the doctor was looking at your test results, right? And he's going, okay, we got the blood test. Yeah. We got the spinal tap. Okay, we did that. And we did the MRI. So your results are positive for multiple sclerosis. Yeah, it shows it right here. If you were to ask, and you're going to go Google the shit out of this, and you're going to go, holy fuck, I had no idea. You're going to go Google this and realize that a differential diagnosis means they rule out everything. They have to rule out everything because the blood test has to come back clear. Your blood test that he said, positive for multiple sclerosis. The reason why the doctor said that is because your blood test came back clear with no reason to support the claims of your symptoms. Watch this. The spinal tap. The spinal tap came back clear. It has to come back clear in order for you to get a multiple sclerosis diagnosis. The MRI, oh yeah, but that showed lesions, Janine. Everyone who was to ever get an MRI has lesions on their brain. Not everyone gets an MRI, but everyone who does get an MRI has lesions on their brain. You know why? Because they're scars. There's always going to be immune activity. There's always going to be heavy metals residing on the myelin, creating scars, which, scary word, lesions, they're just scars. And scars from old autoimmune immune system activity. Everybody has lesions on their brain. Go ask your neurologist. The blood test, the spinal tap, and the MRI all came back with nothing to explain the symptoms that you went to the neurologist with. So what they did years ago was saying, all right, let's just make sure that when she comes in or he comes in with these symptoms, we need to have an answer for them because we have no idea what's going on inside of the body. We need to have an answer. So we're going to call this multiple sclerosis we came up with. There was no reason for your symptoms. Everybody in the world, almost everybody in the world, has the Epstein-Barr virus. How the Epstein-Barr virus reacts inside your body is going to give you the symptoms that's going to take you to the doctor, because the Epstein-Barr virus went into your liver and went into the kidneys. Guess what? We are not the only ones where the virus went into the liver and into the kidneys, the spleen, liver and the spleen. We are not the only ones, but we are the only ones that had an overburdened and overtaxed and a freaking tired liver. We are the only ones that have dissociated from having to deal with the trauma, the reoccurring trauma, the shit that goes on and on and on and on that we don't speak up for ourselves. When we take our symptoms over to the neurologist and the neurologist can't explain them, and he makes sure that he can't explain them because he does a blood test, a spinal tap, and an MRI, when that is definitely positive that there is nothing to explain your symptoms, they go, we know exactly what this is. It's called multiple sclerosis. And we know that people who have these symptoms where we can't find a reason for them, they eventually end up in a wheelchair. Why? Because of the physical dissociation. And yes, it has been documented. Where the hell is it? I printed it out. Is it up there? Hold on. All right, I'm going to put it in the group later. There's a study that was done. There are multiple studies. I found one from 2015 talking about the physical dissociation in the body and how it plays a role in multiple sclerosis. Now, the one thing I forgot to mention, in the spinal tap, you know those Ollie bands, and it's not Ollie, it's Ollie globin, blah, 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 huge word. Those Ollie bands will sometimes show up in the spinal fluid, and they'll go, oh yeah, people with MS, they have those Ollie bands. Those Ollie bands, you know what they are? They're pieces of myelin. They're pieces of myelin that are floating around your body because of those scars, the scar tissue. It's like a scab. And the scab, a piece of the scab, as it begins to heal and the new myelin comes up beneath that scab, the scab falls off and gets filtered through your body. And one of the filtration processes before it gets to your excretory system is the spinal fluid. That's what those Ollie bands are. There is nothing in your body saying you should have these symptoms. All of these symptoms do not have to be. When we get back in touch with our body, when we get back in touch with the relationship that we had with our body, when we start moving towards joy, and the science behind that is getting the signal, the frequency of the signal up, away from the fear and depression and sadness, back up, or at least closer to the joy, that's when the signal goes, we can't take this path. Remember, there's a scar there. We got to take the other route, take this route. Why doesn't it take the route right now? Because of the frequency leaving the brain. That's the only reason why. The route has been made. The route's been made. If you downloaded the book, MS Healing, the Epstein-Barr connection to MS, what was that? Day one, I put it in the email. Or go online, mindingyoursoul.com, download ebook. In the last two chapters, it will tell you exactly what plasticity is. Neuroplasticity in the brain. Everyone has it. Everybody will always have it. It's a feature that comes free with the brain. Your brain is always going to create new pathways. Always, always till the day you die. Your brain's going to create new pathways to get the signal to where it needs to go. Why doesn't it go there? Because it's leaving at a frequency that is low on the emotional scale, and it doesn't want to take the risk. It can't take the risk because you haven't told it that it's okay to take risks and that you're going to be okay and we can do something new. If you are constantly in autopilot, guess what's also in autopilot? Your body. The signals are constantly in autopilot. When you begin to challenge yourself, and sometimes those challenges are not physical challenges, sometimes they're emotional challenges, like speaking up for what you want, figuring out first what you want. Sometimes it has to start there. What do I want? When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I want? What do I want to do? What brings me joy? That's one of the hardest questions to answer because we're not used to thinking about that. We're thinking about, what does everybody else want? What does everybody else need? What am I capable of doing so that I could support everybody else's wants and needs? What about you? What do you want? Have you ever asked yourself that? What is going to bring you joy? When you wake up in the morning, what are you looking forward to? What are you actually looking forward to? Are you in that same autopilot every day? So your brain is like, oh yeah, autopilot. We're taking the same pathways. Well, that pathway has a block. We need to find a different pathway. The body has already made the pathway. The last 2 chapters of that book will explain to you how sodium and potassium, once you have all the things in your body, which if you're eating a healthy diet, you do have all the things because it doesn't require that much sodium and potassium to make those detours. Your body, your brain is always making detours around a detour for a new pathway around a scar because everybody has scars. And there's no reason why you can't take it. But when you're in fear and depression and lack and not moving towards joy, even if you're running away from pain, are you moving towards joy? These are the things that we talk about in the group, and these are the things that make the people walk within 24 hours of a conversation. Walk up the stairs, walk down the stairs. These are the things that actually make a difference, that move the needle. And that's why we do it in a group. Because I'm not enough. My stories, my evidence, what happened to me getting out of the wheelchair, it's not enough for the brain to go, yep, okay, this could work. You need a library of evidence, and the internet isn't real enough for us. So when we put a group of women together who say, holy fuck, I walked up the stairs by myself. I've been in bed for 6 weeks. There's the brain going, this shit works. I can do this. If she can do this, I can do this. Guys, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I was the most undisciplined person. I'm not disciplined at all, actually. I'm fly by the seat of my pants. My husband is the OCD disciplined one, not me. If I can do this, the Italian pasta eating, wine drinking, cigarette smoking person, if I can do this, anybody can do this, but you need the belief. You've all heard Matt Rose say it for years. It is the belief that you can heal. That's what's going to move the needle. And I want you to just freaking download the book just to prove me wrong. Go do some of those things. Go start thinking differently and see what happens inside your body. Or go into the Skool program for 7 days for free and go start reading some of these stories, even if you use those 7 days just to build your evidence. And if you don't want to, that's fine too, because I want everybody to know that you have choices. Everybody has a choice. The choice is yours. If you want to stay the way you are and just continue gathering information, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to change how your body is performing, great, then there's a way for you to do that. My goal here today is to make sure everybody knows there are choices. You're never stuck. You might not like your choices, but there's always a way to go about doing what you don't want to do in a way that's a little bit more joyous, a little bit easier. And it's easier to do that when you're amongst a group of friends. When I realized that the suffering wasn't necessary, when I realized that there was a way out of the tunnel after years of being told, Janine, there's nothing I can do for you. Get used to the wheelchair. Janine, just be happy that nobody dies from MS. Are you fucking kidding me? I want more than just not dying. The standard here, well, you're alive. I want this. I want to play with my kids. I want to go for a walk with my kids. I want to clean my house. Those were my goals. I want to clean my house because Lord knows my husband doesn't do it. And when he does attempt to do it, it sucks and I can do it so much better. Those were my goals back then. Little by little, I got my body back. Little by little, I understood the valleys and how, when we get into a valley, what that does to the frequency of our thoughts. Little by little, I got into quantum physics and understanding that everything we want is all around us in a wave of potential. Everything that we see in our reality, we have crystallized out of a wave of potential. There's an infinite number of waves, infinite number. You can do anything. You can do, accomplish, and receive anything you want to do. All you have to do is work on you. You have to work on your energy. You have to work on your voice. You have to work on the connection between your mind and your body. This healing MS isn't about drinking celery juice. That's just one tiny piece of the puzzle. It's the body, it's the mind, it's the soul, it's everything, it's all the pieces. And if you're like me, like I was 23 years ago, you got your work cut out for you. But pick your hard. Yes, it's going to be hard. Healing from MS is not freaking easy. It's not at all. Having MS isn't easy. Which one's easier? Which one's harder? Well, it depends on what day you ask me. Choose your heart. What do you want to do? I just don't want anyone feeling like there's nothing I can do. I can't heal. You absolutely can. And for many of us who have done the diet and are still experiencing the mobility issues, it's not about the diet. It's about the frequency of your thoughts. It's about what you wake up every day and what you set your mind to, because that's not just woo-woo shit. It's quantum physics. It's science. I'll post the article later that shows the science behind it. The signal of the nerve, the signal that's leaving and heading down to your toes, needs to be vibrating at a certain frequency in order for that signal to take the detour to get the signal down to your feet. So no, it's not always about the celery juice. That's a good starting place to build that confidence in yourself that you can do something different. That is where we're going to get the body strong enough to be able to take the detour. Okay, mindingyoursoul.com. That's where the ebook is. Go download that. If you want to join Skool, I'm going to leave it open at this price until, what's tomorrow? Friday? Yeah, Friday night, Saturday morning. I'm going to give it at least until Saturday, let's say, at this price. Then it's going to go up. It's going to go up to $127. So if you want to join now, you get the 7-day free trial. Get in there, see what it's about, and start understanding that you do have choices. Yes, it's going to take work. I'm not going to lie to anybody and say, oh, it's easy to heal from MS. It's freaking not. But it's possible. If you want to do it, I'll show you how to do it. If you have any questions, that's why I offer a free discovery call. There's no sales pitch. I don't have anything to sell you. If you have questions and you want to navigate a little bit better or have specific questions about your body and your symptoms, then use the free discovery call. And if you're ready to join the rebellion, that's open. Get in there. And if you want to get in there before our events at 11:30, you got 40 minutes. All right, I'm going to go prepare for him. Guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry it's quick, but it's an MS Rebellion day today, so I got to run. Have a great one. I'll see you guys in the group later. Bye-bye.